Hey, what's up, my broke budget guys, gals, and ninjas? Today I'm going to be going over 3 different methods to pay off your debt. The debt snowball, the debt avalanche, and the debt assassination. So the debt snowball and the debt avalanche are both technical financial terms that are used pretty much everywhere. The debt assassination is one that I came up with, which is a different way of looking at paying off debt and how you pay it off. So we're going to go over all 3 of these. We're going to go over the advantages and disadvantages of them so that you can figure out which one you want to use in your life so that you can make a plan and stick to it. So let's begin with the debt snowball. The debt snowball is where you take the smallest loan and you list it out to the largest loan. So for instance, if you have a credit card that has $500, a car loan that has $4,000, and a student loan that has $10,000, the way that you would list it would you would put the $500 first, you'd pay off that credit card first, then you would pay off the car loan at $4,000, and then you would move on to the $10,000 student loan. So the advantages of using the debt snowball is the fact that you see progress. You start off small and then you grow to the larger one, so then you have more momentum to keep going. And that's why they call it the snowball effect, because you're rolling down the hill and it gets more momentum as it goes. And it also becomes bigger as it goes. This method is really good for emotional and psychological reasons because you can see progress as you go, and you get to take the money that you were paying and put it towards the next one, and then take that money and then put it towards the next one. So that's the reason why you want to do the debt snowball. So the disadvantage of using the debt snowball is the fact that you could be losing money. And in the next method, the avalanche method, we're going to be talking about how you could save that money instead if you decide that's a better route to take. So the debt avalanche method is where you take your highest interest rate and then you go down in interest rate. So this one's different because it doesn't matter what the balance is on the loan. Now you're looking at the interest rate. So if you have a 13% versus a 12% versus a 5%, and so those are the differences between the debt snowball and the debt avalanche, is basically a difference between what's on your loan with the debt snowball versus what's in the interest rate with the debt avalanche. And the way it works out mathematically, this is the one that's going to save you the most money because it's saving you on interest rate. Because if you're paying off the highest interest rate, the others are still building an interest, but they're building up a lot slower because they're a lower interest rate. So it's okay to only pay minimum payments on those while you're paying as much as you possibly can on the higher one to get rid of it sooner. Because the sooner you get rid of it, the less interest it builds. And so that is the reason why you want to do the debt avalanche. Now, the downside to doing the debt avalanche is that you don't see progress very fast most of the time, because most of the time the higher interest rate ones are also the ones that have the most on them. Student loans are the high interest rate one. You may be paying that off first, and that's like $10,000. Well, it's going to take you a long time to pay off $10,000, even if you're taking all your extra money and tossing it at it. And so that's the reason why a lot of people fail with the debt avalanche, because they don't see any progress at all. Because they just see oh, it's still there. It's still this massive amount. I've been working at it for months and it's still there. And so that's the reason why the debt snowball is a better idea for a lot of people. But mathematically, the avalanche works out a lot better. And lastly, we're going to go over the debt assassination. So this one, like I said, is one that I came up with. It's not out there as far as I know. It's just a different way of looking at your debt. This is kind of a mix of the debt snowball and the debt avalanche. We're looking at paying off the higher risk loans, basically. So the ones that present more risk. If you stopped paying them today because something happened, you lost your job, something like that, and you stopped paying, what are going to have the most consequences? For instance, a car loan would have a big consequence because if you stopped paying it, you would lose your car. But a student loan, you wouldn't lose anything. You'd probably lose a good credit score. All of these, you would lose your credit score. Your credit score would go down if you're not paying them, as well as you might have other fees involved and extra things that you have to pay because you're not paying it on time. So there will be stuff like that with any of these loans if you stop paying them, which is why I'm not suggesting you stop paying them. I'm just saying as far as risk level, that's what we're looking at. We're looking at the level of risk of what's going to happen if you stop paying it. I suggest continuing to pay minimum payments on everything and then just attacking whatever leftover money you have in your budget towards the one that you are focusing on. And how you choose which one you're focusing on when it comes to the debt assassination is really based on your situation and how you're feeling too. And that's part of why this one's a little bit more complicated than the other two. It will work out a little bit better financially and mathematically than the debt snowball, but it also will keep you more motivated than the debt avalanche would keep you. So you're going to lose a little bit of money doing this, but it'll keep you more motivated. And so here's what you do. You start with the debt snowball, basically. And so you pay off the small ones, the ones that are $100, $200, $500, those really small ones that would probably be paid off in 1 month or 2 months. And that'll build that momentum and that thought of, hey, I can do this. So that's where we're starting. And then once we get a little bit of momentum going, then we change course. And then we start going towards the ones that are high risk ones. Not necessarily about interest rate here, it's about being at risk. So like I said, the car loan, that is a risk because you could lose your car if you stop paying that. So you want to get that thing paid off, because once it's paid off, now you know nobody's going to take my car away from me. Even if there are smaller debts that technically could come before it in the debt snowball or the debt avalanche, even if there's higher interest rates on something else, I would still attack the high risk ones, the ones where I'd lose something substantial. And I would continue to do it smallest to largest of the at-risk ones. So we would pay off the car before we paid off the house, even though they're both like an at-risk thing, and the house may be a little bit more at risk, but we're still gonna pay off the car before the mortgage because the car is a whole lot smaller and will get paid off a lot faster. So that's part of the debt snowball almost, where you get that encouragement to build up to the bigger one. And this is what the debt assassination gives you. It kind of gives you freedom to choose what your plan is going to be based on your situation. So I encourage you to go with one of these 3 methods, choose one that works for you, and then write down the debts in the order that makes sense for your life. Because oftentimes it takes years to pay off debt. I'm just saying. It's not something that's going to happen instantly. I wish it did. It's not going to happen. So you have to be committed to the process and be sure that you have a plan listed out in front of you of how much you're going to spend on each debt until you get it down to where you don't have any more debt and it's 0 balance. And that is the perfect number to have in debt. So be sure to like this video and subscribe for more content, and then leave me a comment down below with what your debt order is going to be. Which one of these methods are you going to use? Thank you for watching. You can check out some of my other videos in the links listed in the bio, and I will see you in the next video.
Ninja Delicioso!